Talk to me, talk to me, talk to me. Your magical kiss will take me just so far. Talk to me, talk to me, talk to me. Don't leave me like this, dangling from a star. You set me all aflame and it's so pleasing. It sure would be a shame if you were only teasing. So my love, before I go, turn the lights way down low and talk to me. Talk to me, talk to me. Well, good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the Don McKeag Show. I guess it's 4th edition. Kenny Buechs is out back there. We are a call-in show. You may call us at 508-830-3971. I'm looking forward to this program growing, giving you an opportunity, as we know talk radio does, and that is the opportunity to not only ask questions firsthand, but to express your opinions. If you're in agreement with me or any of my hosts, fine. If you're not, that's even finer. We encourage a meeting of the minds here, as long as we can stay civil and as long as we don't carry into the conversation some other problems with our individual lives. I am extremely happy to have as my guest tonight. We will periodically have different guests. We're going to have people in the political world, the entertainment world, authors. I have a few lined up. So I hope you'll mark this on your calendar every Thursday from 6 to 7. If you're in the habit of eating your supper in front of the television, this is a perfect show for you to get some information and hopefully some entertainment as well. I'd like to introduce Karen Buechs, who, if you are familiar with Talk of the Town, she and her husband Ken. How many years have you been doing that, Karen?
Oh, 5, 6 years.
5 or 6 years. She's a Plymouth resident, as is her husband Ken. And I know a lot of people, I presume, that are watching the show now are familiar, and I've been on your show, of course, the Talk of the Town. Enjoy it very much. But perhaps they've never heard anything about your background. How long have you been in Plymouth anyway, you and Ken?
41 years, so 75.
So you didn't grow up in Plymouth? Or,
nope, it was Boston.
Boston.
Hyde Park.
What high school?
Hyde Park High.
Hyde Park High. What about Ken? Where did he go?
He's a Roxbury boy.
Oh, that's right. He told me that. I figures. He's got rocks everywhere.
Yeah.
Now, did you go on to school, college in Boston? Or?
Well, I had won a 4-year scholarship to art school.
Yeah.
RISD.
And you probably went and got married.
And I went and got married.
Oh, Ken would do that to you. He would steal you away off the market because he was afraid of other people.
You know, he said that.
Of course he did. He's a smart man.
Oh, my father was so upset. Yeah.
Well, that's too bad in one hand, but you never went back to pursue the...
I've done it in different ways. I write.
Yeah.
I painted for a while. I love India ink and watercolor. And but I write. That's what I do, and it comes out creatively with the program.
Well, you know, that's what my burden right now is. I'm working on a book. I worked all day and today. And again, the big question, of course, is who wants to read it and why do I think it's interesting? I'm sure.
I want to read it.
Yeah, well, I think it's got some pretty good stuff, but that's not what we're here to talk about. I've got a variety of subjects, as I always do. And by the way, again, 508-830-3971. We'd love to hear from you. The topics that, first of all, as you know, I've come to love Plymouth. I like the downtown. I love the history.
Right.
I took my brother-in-law, who's a retired colonel in the Army, who did 2 tours in Vietnam, no less.
God bless him.
While my sister was raising 3 boys. And they came and stayed at Fourth Cliffs. I'd never heard of it. It's a base, not a base, but it's an Air Force kind of I don't want to call it a retreat, but it's a place where servicemen and women can stay at a discounted rates right on the beach in Humrock. Did you ever hear of it?
Never.
I've never heard of it either.
That's nice.
So yes, and so we went there, but in the process, I know he loves history. He's a Civil War buff, and I took him to the statue, a faith statue, the national, founding fathers.
Oh, the founding fathers.
And ladies and gentlemen, I want to tell you, any of you who are history buffs or just in Plymouth, I venture to say there's a lot of people, even living in Plymouth, who've never been to see it. And it is a truly remarkable,
It is.
a remarkable work of art. But isn't it funny how sometimes a negative turns into a positive? If you remember the history of that, it was completed in 1889, but they were gathering funds during the Civil War. Abraham Lincoln donated $10 to that construction.
No, I did not know that.
Did you know that?
No.
And so it was Civil War time, so it was supposed to be twice as big as it is.
Oh.
I think it's 81 or 86 feet high. And my brother-in-law went crazy over it, so did my sister. And all I could think of is, if that had been twice as big, I don't think it would be as effective. I think it would have been overwhelming. Too big.
Yeah.
So, but it is truly remarkable. And for those of us that are concerned with the direction this country's going and with the people running it, both parties, it is a great reminder of what the Founding Fathers believed in. Their beliefs are on there, and there are statues representing faith and wisdom and education, war, and they're just beautifully done. I forget who the sculptor was, or there may have been multiple sculptors. But anyway, why I bring up Plymouth also, though, is last week, I think you caught my diatribe a little bit, but I want your opinion. I don't care. You know me. I don't look for controversy, but I do not avoid it.
Yeah.
The town of Plymouth, America's hometown.
What did we do
People
now?
coming from all over the world to see Plymouth. Downtown, it is shameful that road construction, yet another week has gone by. It's July 24th. Those rotaries, to me, I haven't seen a thing done in a week. Now, you've got people coming here to see him. That should be a priority item. I don't care what excuses. I don't care what the construction company's saying. But again, this is government. This is, again, awarding contracts with little thought to what the business community. I'm speaking for you people out there that own businesses in Plymouth, downtown, and they should have been working on that in June at night under floodlights. They should have the flowers should be in, the mulch should be in, and that should be done.
I agree with you on that.
Yeah.
Did you call town hall?
No, I didn't call town. I've called town halls before, but I'm verbalizing it, and I'm saying others could call. Because,
I don't know why, Donnie. I don't know why it hasn't been done.
I talked to 2 people, and they said this is always a pass the buck situation. But I mean, that is a disgrace that people. And last summer, if it was either the summer, the main road coming in off the highway, that was dug up and had for sewerage. I don't care about how it has to be done. Of course, it has to be done.
Yeah.
But does anyone not see that people are coming to see Plymouth because of the history of Plymouth? This is where it started.
I know.
This is where the biggest sacrifices were made.
You know,
and it's just, again, already it's 6:10,
Yeah.
and I'm fired up. And
Oh,
I'd
yeah.
love to hear from someone out there. If you don't agree, then tell me why, because you better have a good reason.
Well, it's not that I don't agree with you. I don't know the ins and outs of it. I don't know why the company has not finished its work. I know a lot of businesses suffered during that, especially on Route 44 when that was going on.
That's right.
That was terrible. Why it isn't done downtown, I don't know, but I do know they had water problems, and they had to, it pushed them back from finishing.
But again, now here again, I've been in construction. I've built buildings and all. But again, that means that you go to Plan B and you have extra men there and you're working extra hours. There is no excuse.
I'm wondering
None.
if the town had the money, though, for that.
Well, they shouldn't have started again. If you're not thinking about your tourist attractions, you're not at all, never mind the business community. There again, the business community is the one most affected, and their employees.
Yeah.
But you don't see town employees affected by it. They get their salaries. The teachers aren't affected by it. The police get extra details. The fire aren't affected. No, I'm telling you, this is what I am always going to be furious about, is that the government does not historically really back the business community and understand what they are dealing with. Now, over on the Cranberry Highway, that bridge in Buzzards Bay is another disgrace. I go down there to do my radio show, as I didn't mention. Those that don't know, tomorrow morning you get a chance to hear more of this nonsense.
Saturday morning.
Tomorrow's Friday.
Tomorrow's Friday.
Thank you, Karen. I'm glad you're here. I usually got the wrong.
That's all
Anyway,
right.
now that's been over two and a half years. This simple bridge. Now, again, I understand in construction you can run into things like you're referring to. But it appears to me, I'll tell you right now, if they were paying the business losses that the business community's paying, they'd have a whole different attitude, I'll tell you that. When it's a government project, you bet your life it's done. You bet your life there's extra help and there's extra because it's important to them for some reason. And it's not right. So once again, I have thrown that out there. And again, I just feel for not only the business community, but it is not putting up the best front for the town of Plymouth. If I came from Minnesota or from Sweden or from London or from Germany and I saw that mess down there in July, it's one thing in April and May and June, but if I saw that now, it would not be particularly attractive and it would detract from the experience, just as backed up traffic going down, what is that street? Why can't I remember that?
Water Street?
Is it Water Street? Yeah.
Coming off the highway.
Where the auto body,
Oh, yeah.
Oak
Well, that's
Street's
the
off
old
of it.
44.
Yeah, but that's heavily...
Samoset.
Okay, Samoset, that's what it is.
Yeah.
Samoset. Now, the other thing, I just lauded the statue, which I hope you'll all see. But again, when I think of the money spent irresponsibly in every town I've ever been associated with. So don't tell me your town is any different. And I don't mean Plymouth, I mean you, the audience, and that's why you have a chance to call me. The idea of being fiscally prompt, fiscally responsible in town government generally doesn't exist anymore, period. That's one of the sicknesses in this country is the waste and the attitude in government. And people have seen their taxes skyrocket and seen their bang for the buck be less and less.
Can I say something?
Yes, please do. Now
Please.
It's your turn.
All right. You know, we have a town meeting, and some people don't like a town meeting type of government. But town meeting really scrutinizes that budget. And we do the best we can with what we have.
You're a town meeting member?
Yes.
Good.
And it's we don't go in there with the idea of wasting money because we pay taxes too. But if you're talking about federal government, I agree with you.
Yeah.
I do not agree on my perspective locally because I see it. Could it be improved? I don't know. It takes money. We don't have a lot of money. We do the best we can, both on the school side and the town side. I'm sure our town manager would love to do 1,000 things, but she can't.
Yeah.
It's not prudent. Town meeting would love to see a lot of things improved and done, but we can't. We don't have the money. So we try very hard to work with what we have. I can't speak for other towns. I can
Yes.
only speak for here.
Well, I've been associated over the years, starting with Weymouth, Mass., where I grew up, Barnstable, Falmouth, Carver, Plymouth, and in all due respect, there are very nice people who try, but I've found in many cases their priorities are not fiscal responsibility. I mean, you go to a town meeting, and this I'm talking about 40 years ago, and you'll see them spend $1 million and have about a 5-minute discussion.
But it's going on all year.
A new backstop that costs $1,100 is discussed for an hour, and that's because they have no experience. Well-intended. See, I'm tired of well-intended people not having any background.
But you
period.
say in 5 minutes, Donnie,
Yeah.
it's all year. Those town meeting members pay attention all year. They
Yeah.
go to meetings. They have
How
meetings.
is the attendance? Because that's the other thing
Very,
about why town.
very good.
Well, that's good.
Exceptional.
But I think Plymouth's taxes are over the top. I think
We're
they
a
have
big town
I understand
with a
that,
lot
but-
of roads and
Yeah.
a lot of
And
services.
this winter, by the way, road costs, I understand. But this is just, again, I'm talking from experience as a businessman and the different attitudes when it's coming out of your pocket. I don't mean to say that all town meeting members are not fiscally caring. I believe most of them are. However, the other thing you must admit, when it's an item that affects them on the warrant, they're there in numbers.
Well, that's an
And then
open town meeting.
Well, and that's in a lot of towns, even in, and there again, now we're into conflicts
Conflict
of interest,
well,
which is extremely serious.
and you and I have
extremely
not talked
serious.
about
No,
this.
that's right.
But a new committee has been formed in this town
Right,
for that subject alone.
good.
And
a
whichever
very good
way,
step.
one half says there's nothing you can do about it. The other half, including the Attorney General, says yes, you can put more teeth in your charter.
Yeah.
What that is, I have no idea. But I predict that if this situation isn't taken care of, it's the end of town meeting. Now, some people will be happy.
Oh, of course they would.
Others will not, and I am one of those
It's not a representative.
others.
Town meeting is a representative form of government, and there's so many towns that have done away with it, and a lot of it, of course, has to do with apathy, just like people not turning out to vote, people not turning out to
pathetic.
speak. Well, and that's why we're getting what we deserve, and I don't blame town administrators totally. However, I do find that priorities and the value of a dollar is very, I just think it's gone way beyond. And it comes from, once again, you're not going to like, but it's the liberal philosophy. And that liberalism comes into conflict of interest because, as I heard over in Carver, they had last year, and I spoke, and I've been a resident and a taxpayer there for about 7 or 8 years. But I mean, it was unbelievable to me to think that a selectman in that town would also be a working full-time police officer. It was unbelievable to me that that could ever have been accomplished.
Well, we
or
have
done.
that here. We have
And
a
it is
fireman.
beyond the pale. And yet I heard people, I heard people get up and talk and justify it. Everybody should be able to run for anything they want. This is America. That was never how America ran, ever.
The terminology, it should be, I'm going to tell you, it is.
Yeah.
Those are the rules. Anybody can run. It's not that it should be. It is. It's up to the voter. It's up to the It's up to the voters.
I just absolutely.
How can you discriminate against one person running?
It is not discrimination. It is qualification. And the founding fathers and the whole history of this country is being eroded in bits and pieces by that mistaken idea based on feelings.
Well, I'm going to tell you.
If someone isn't allowed to do whatever they want, like run for an election, I'll tell you what affected a lot of town man. That you used to have to live in the town if you were the town manager. And that's the way it should be.
Tommy Menino did that.
Yeah, because then you are living under all of the tax increases. But then you got the hand-wringing, do-good, feel-good liberals who said that's not fair. No, I'm telling you right now.
Ask me a question. Do I think a town employee should sit as a selectman? No.
Right.
But it's his right or her right to do it. Yes, it is.
It is. That's where we will always disagree.
It's up to the voter.
That is liberalism per se, and that's what got us in this mess. It's like saying a 19-year-old can do anything they want.
It's not.
Of course it is. We have the town of Sandwich, one of the highest,
out in a rash.
One of the highest budgets and one of the highest tax rates, and part of it is, no question, part of it is the voter. I agree. But who's thinking about the voter? And here again, and I don't want to get into a big fight, but it's this hand-wringing, especially women. So a 19-year-old kid runs, this is years ago, runs for selectman in Sandwich. They've got all sorts of budgetary problems. They've got a huge tax rate. This kid, 2 years before, was getting an allowance from his father, and they elected him. And I listen to women talk about how, isn't it wonderful, we give him a chance. Oh, come on. That's what we've done with this
president. Why do you blame women for everything?
Because they think differently, and
I'm going to tell you why.
They have this
because women have children.
Well, that's
we're the nourishers.
But that doesn't, I agree. But I wish that other people understood that that is not what makes a successful government. Feelings we all have. Facts are what's important. And women have got, I'll tell you, that's what I wanted to get into today without getting too fired up.
Oh, God, kill me.
Is where are the women, what do you think we can do?
What?
About the women vote, which is historically now liberal Democrat.
Well,
no matter who runs, that's how they vote.
Now,
what can we do
you want to
about that?
change
What can we
the
do
way...
Nothing.
No,
I want them more educated. So you think it's fine to keep
there are
going
some
the road we're going?
Don't put words in my mouth. I've known very educated women who vote for things that I don't vote for.
Yeah. Well, education.
It has nothing to do with it.
Education doesn't have anything to do with it either.
But you're asking a person to change their way of thinking, and the only way that can be done is through debate and conversation. And if they still, or if I don't change my mind, too bad. Yeah. That's the way I feel.
Okay.
Like I wouldn't say to you, Donnie, you're an idiot because you think a certain way.
I didn't bring up idiot. You just did. See, women go down and dirty, Kenny. See what I'm saying? I kept this on a high level. She has to go down and calling me an idiot.
Oh, God.
All right. Well, now, here's why I want to ask you this. And this, again, you remember, this is one of the things that I believe. You just said what I would say, and so I don't have to tell you. Men are the hunters. Men are the procurers. Women are the nurturers. That's the dangerous part I've seen in the transition of the political scene. That being said, and those of you who might disagree with that or get up on your haunches, especially women, There's got to be a reason that that book, Men Are From Mars and Women Are From Venus, was a huge seller. There's got to be a reason that the movie, As Good As It Gets, with Jack Nicholson in it, the line that he said, which many women get all upset, you probably will, it was hysterical all over the world, in all the translations of that movie. And the line was, they asked Jack Nicholson, the character, how do you know so much about women?
Yeah.
Do you remember this?
No, I don't.
And his answer was, well, I just think of a man and then I subtract reason and accountability.
You know, you're a jackass. No, honest to God.
Now most women still chuckle at that. And the reason isn't, again, it is not a blanket evaluation of women. It is a tendency that both men and women can recognize. This is not me saying men are so wonderful. Men are equally, put it this way, stupid. You can't fix stupid.
Oh my God, equally stupid.
When it comes to rationale, they're not rational thinkers anymore.
You just called women stupid.
No, I said some. I said equally. There are percentages in both sexes. However, there are different makeups in men and women. I hope you're following why I said men are from Mars, women are from Venus. We are not alike. We are not going to be alike.
So why are you fighting it?
I'm not. People are. They keep thinking men and women are supposed to be alike. They're never going to be. God didn't make us that. But that goes back to what I believe, too, is that that's what happens when you start easing out God or any kind of a belief in something bigger than ourselves. We now have become self-sufficient, so we think. And but anyway,
that's sad.
This is sad, but I really do, and I adore women. You know, I take a lot of heat on my radio show because I have conversations like this because I really can't understand there are so many working women today. When we grew up, our mothers were home.
Stayed home.
And now, and they're not just working because they got an education and because they like to work. They have to work. They have to work. And what I don't understand is how they can't see liberal programs, this EBT card,
there are abuses.
There's huge, because the Democratic Party caters to it. This governor is over the top, just like the president is. We have children that are uncared for, American children, in every town, every state, what happens to them? We've got that. This Patrick is incompetent. He is totally incompetent, period. But he's liked because, again, his campaign, I knew he was going to get the women's vote when he said, "Together we can." It's
a great line.
Yeah, it's horse manure. That's what it is.
But it worked, didn't it?
Of course it did, because the women fell for it. That's why.
The men voted for him too.
Well, but Democrats will vote for a rock if they're a man. All you've got to put is a rock outside the voting poll in the polling station in Massachusetts, and by God, paint a D on it, and the rock will get 75%
I wish there weren't any parties.
And I'm a former Democrat, deep-seated and committed. I'm a John F. Kennedy Democrat, and when you hear him say, "Don't ask what the country's going to do for you, what are you going to do for the country?" The Democratic Party, I can prove, is the reverse of that. They now are socialists, and they want the government to control us. And that's why they do so much, like this nonsense of illegal children coming into the country.
Who signed that into law?
Who signed that into law? Which signed what into law?
That immigrants can come, what is it called? The immigration law that Bush signed.
Oh, yeah? Well, let me tell you, my friend, my dear friend who I miss and I loved, Ted Kennedy, he and Johnson are ones that made the first major mess up of immigration, period, back in 68.
Oh, the
67.
Great Society.
Yeah, the Great Society nonsense. And once again, it's based on that feel-good liberalism. My grandfather and my father was for when he came here. You had to have a sponsor, you had to have a job, you had to have a place to live in, and you had to have good health.
And you couldn't be sick. That's right.
Correct. Now, that was too unfair. Yeah. Baloney. It worked then, and it would work now. It's too late. You look, the barbarians are at the gates. Rome saw it, but the barbarians now don't even have to stop at the gate with this liberal culture. Just come on in. It's nonsense. And you know what now you get me going. These people, these liberal Democrats, I hope some of you are out there, and I'm dying for you to call.
No, they're not going to call. They're not.
Why not?
I don't know.
They don't have any guts. 508-830-3971. I would love to see, what's that, Kenny?
No.
I would love to see. Now, if it's okay for these immigrants to come in and they're illegal. Now, we've got an attorney general that's so brilliant. By the way, she's running for governor and she'll probably win, although the Democrats even don't like her. But tell me, ladies and gentlemen.
Why don't they like her?
I don't know. Maybe she's better than I think. Maybe she doesn't fall for everything that
No, she doesn't.
Machine.
That's right.
But that does not, when you have the judicial system not obeying the law, you have a huge breakdown. When you have an attorney general, the highest legal authority in this state, who says publicly, well, technically, illegal isn't illegal in Massachusetts.
In Massachusetts, and she should have quoted the law, and it is.
Never mind quoting it, Karen.
Yeah.
She should be following it. You don't have to if you're the public trusts that you are going to follow the laws. Do you think all of us like every law that we follow?
Of course not.
Well, what have you got when judges and all this liberalism, all of a sudden a judge decides he is going to make an exception to the law?
I know. I don't get it either.
Well, I get it, because they're Democrats. They don't get thrown out. And this is the invasion of the left and the invasion of the liberal policies. If it's unkind or if it seems unfair, I love this one. If just one person is harmed by something, we should change it. What a load of baloney.
You keep saying Democrats, but I know a heck of a lot of Republicans, and I'm an independent.
Not in this state you don't know that have any authority.
No, I'm saying I know a heck of a lot of Republicans that are downright jackasses.
Well, of course they are.
So, I mean...
I'm not a Republican, but I am saying those that are sitting in the seat of rule are the ones that are to be pointed at. Never mind bringing in, and that's another justification that I'm so sick of hearing. Well, this one's as bad. Well, they're all bad. I mean, that's nonsense. This country's got to start voting for the person. Forget party politics.
Right.
They're going to say, who do I think can do the best job?
The best job.
And they don't care about merit anymore. That was the flaw in affirmative action. It was from day one, but nobody had the nerve to talk about it because it was black versus white.
At one time,
they would have had none of the problems that have emanated if and they had the problems in fire departments, police departments, other areas where towns were forced to take civils, where the test scores were nowhere near what someone that had been on the fire department 20 years.
Well, the argument is they want to give them a chance. They wanted to way back when.
Those are the same people that just say about everybody should have a right to do this. Well, everybody shouldn't if they don't have the qualifications. That's my whole point.
Right, qualifications.
But qualifications don't matter. Look at what you got for a president now. And we've had Republicans that were no better, again. But it's all, again, about who has the most money, who has the most power.
Yes.
And I know it's always been that way. And I get fired up. Cronyism. But, I mean, you've got to admit, if you took, and again, I'm going back on the women, and you can get as mad at me as you want. If Bill Clinton or Jack Kennedy who, let me just tell you, so you know I'm not a hypocrite. Jack Kennedy was the first president I could vote for.
I
He
loved
was from
him.
Massachusetts. He was Irish. I remember seeing him. I never met him on the Cape, but I was working on the Cape for years, and then I was teaching school and working down there too. I remember seeing him leaving St. Francis Xavier on South Street with Jackie when he was a senator. This was, I think, 1959, 58 or 9. And I remember loving his body language. You know, you just, I see his picture now and I get emotional sometimes, especially since I became so close with Ted and I was in the house. You know, some of those things that I used to see in the house was so sad to see, and yet that house was always a positive. Ted Kennedy was fabulous that way. There was never any somber, you know, they went on with life.
He
and
wanted
Mrs. Kennedy,
happiness.
and Mrs. Kennedy
She
was
taught them well.
responsible for
Yeah.
that too. But anyway, getting back to that. So,
Now there's a woman.
yes, yeah, but you look at what that woman went through too.
Yeah.
But anyway, so if you think about this, now Jack Kennedy, I thought was his second term, I think probably would have been, I don't know, I think it would have been very successful, but I don't know. But
I
I'm
think
just
so.
saying that I loved his first term. I still, when I would go up to the, I used to have a free pass to go into the library, Kennedy Library. And I always went, and they have that perpetual tape playing of his press
I've
conferences.
seen it. It's
Oh,
wonderful.
Wonderful.
I could
and
see
you
them
saw
all.
the wit of the man.
Yeah.
He was just spectacular.
Quick,
and the smile,
natural.
and he was natural, and he was kind, just like Teddy was. Well, anyway, but when I was down in Hyannisport, and I worked on the pier when he became president, and I saw some things that I later, when it all came out, the womanizing, and this, I found that extremely disappointing and unacceptable behavior, as I did with Bill Clinton. Now, I am here to tell you, I was running for state rep in 2000, and I was over, it was in Dukes County, and I was campaigning in Martha's Vineyard, and Bill Clinton, after that debacle with Monica Lewinsky, was, 20-year-old girl, and he was over there, and there was a line of women, all ages, waiting to meet him. Now, I will tell you, I would bet, I am not a gambler. Well, I'm a gambler in business, but I will tell you, if Jack Kennedy or Bill Clinton had been Republicans, they'd have been ridden out of town on a rail, because the women, Monica Lewinsky, if Bill Clinton was a Republican, Monica Lewinsky would have been St. Joan. She'd have been Joan of Arc, and the women would have been picketing and throwing his fanny out.
You
and
don't know that.
I know that. I know that as sure as I'm sitting here with you. And that's what I can't stand.
It was a terrible period.
But do you know how many people, again, the women set the moral code. It isn't the men, the women do. The women set
Again,
the moral
it's our
standard.
fault.
Yes. Yes, it is. But I'm telling you, the double standard drives me crazy. I mean, you have, and the Democrats, this is what I mean about they can hold their nose for their candidate, but they will vote for the Democrat. The Republicans, now you watch, they will snatch sure defeat out of victory in this next presidential election, because they will not pull together. They will. It's okay to fight with each other during the campaign and the primary, but let me tell you, as soon as it's over, what do the Republicans do? They just split off, and then they badmouth their own candidate.
Well,
Democrats don't do that.
The Democrats stick together.
And I give them credit for that.
The Republicans eat their own.
Mm-hmm.
And
the nation is ill-served because of it.
Because of it.
Yeah.
And on both sides, because years ago...
No, but the Democrats don't eat their own. generally.
Years ago,
Yeah.
they would stand up in Congress and speak
Yeah.
against their own president.
Yeah.
They would say what was wrong, how to fix it, whatever.
Yeah, but that was rare even then. I mean, what I want to say to you too, and to the audience is, I'm not naive enough. If you go back to that wonderful movie that I get so emotional. Some of these, Jimmy Stewart.
I
Mr.
love
Smith
him.
goes
Oh,
to
yeah.
Washington.
Yeah.
Now, remember the corruption, and the same thing was going on then. That movie
Yeah.
was in the 30s, right?
Yeah.
Took place in the
He
30s.
was great. But, it was make-believe. I mean, you think a
No,
guy
but it
can go
wasn't. It
in
was
today,
based on
they'll kill him.
Politicians just aren't basically nice people. I'm sorry. They can be nice up front, but I believe to be a politician today, especially,
I know
you
a
have to
few.
sell. You have to
I know
sell.
a few nice
I know
ones.
some good ones, but I'll tell you. No, but I'll tell you. Deep down, to get where they're going, in most cases, they have had to make personal concessions.
Yeah,
I said
promises.
this. One of the things, not boasting, but one of the things when I ran on my principles. I stuck to them, and I was willing to lose. One of the things we have a problem with, I believe, today in politics of all areas is when push comes to shove, and you have a tough decision to make, and you're not sure what's right and wrong. Today, if I do the wrong thing, I might wins.
Yeah.
And again,
I agree with that.
Yeah, and that is why the nation is being ill-served. And I do believe that, when you have the negative, forget Obama, but I'm just saying, when you have a president with a 29 and lower rating, in a press that I don't trust, the polling press I don't trust anyway, they were biased to the Democrat. But that's what they've come out with. And Congress even lower.
Yeah, they deserve it.
But I'm just saying, you have got a nation in real sickness.
Trouble.
We're very sick. We're very sick.
Yeah. Well,
And it's watching stuff like this. Do you think for 1 minute, you know me a little, but I mean, I cry at the drop of a hat over a child. Are you kidding? I would do anything for a child, but not illegally. We can't be the saviors of every incident, and when people are purposely going out of their way to break our laws. Now, how come nobody says, what kind of a parent? You have children. When they were little, would you have let them go off alone just in the hopes that they might be accepted into America? And then people can justify that move by saying, well, they want a better life for their child. Are you kidding? You're letting a child go. You don't know who or what they're going to come in contact with, and you're abandoning your child? That's that claptrap that today the press and the liberalists of this country have just swallowed.
Well, did you know that there are over 200 illegals already in this state?
Of course.
Did you know that Chelsea is screaming because they can't keep up in these money-wise with them in school, with the kids in school? They can't keep up with it. There's another town like that. They're asking for relief because they cannot pay for these kids coming in.
I know.
And that's very, you say you find the money somewhere, but then we've got to find the money for everything.
And they don't find it for people that are, this is getting back, I get off as usual. You drove me off the
that's
subject.
my fault
you got
again.
me going, Karen. Doggone it.
Yeah.
But this was my beginning issue about working women, and that I speak for them. I'm not against women. If anything, I'm the one that's talking about how many women work so hard today. Some of them are single mothers, and they're still educating their kids. They're bringing them to their games. They're working full time. They're trying to keep house. They're trying to make their bills pay. And here to see, we have people coming into this country illegally that are given a place to live. They're given an EBT card that they abuse a good 70% of the time, and they've got a system that says, oh, we'll help everyone but our own. What happened to charity begins at home? And yet they'll vote Democrat. I just can't understand it. I can't for the life of me
It's their
not
experience.
understand.
It's their experience.
No, I believe it's, again, I think it's the popular thing to do. And when you say no to a child, whether it's legal or illegal, somehow in the female genre, you're not a good person. And it bothers me. It's very hard to say no to children that are, but again, do you know, again, we'll look at how schools are run. Do you know down in the border towns, this is 20 years ago, we talked about it
They're
on the
suffering
morning show.
terribly. Yeah.
No, but let me tell you what was done by school districts. This is, again, documented, but not very often reported because, of course, it's contrary to the liberal press bias. And that was, there were school areas in Texas and in Arizona that were sending buses over the border to put kids on, to bring them back, to get their enrollment up so they could get their budget.
Wow.
That's documented. You've never read about it. You wouldn't read about that. Now, if there were kids thrown out of that school and brought back to Mexico, you'd see it all over the paper.
Now they're complaining because they're coming in anyway? What's the...
Yeah.
I don't get it.
No, but I'm just saying 20 years ago, but that tells you the attitude that was going on in the governmental agencies even then, even schools were that dishonest just to keep their budget going. And again, these are absolute indications of an out of control, compassionate.
Yeah, I know we have a lot
nonsense.
of domestic issues, but we're about a week away with war with Russia. Did you know that?
Well, yeah.
About a week away. If something's got to be done.
Well, again.
And UN is corrupt as.
Oh, it always has been. But again,
Yeah.
we've catered to them. I mean, you look, and this is, again, the fault of our government. Republicans and Democrats, we've got budgetary problems, and yet, because the State Department, again, has so much power, we are, and I've read them, time after time on my radio show, the billions of dollars we give to countries, one, who don't even like us, two, who vote an average of 76 to 79% against everything the United States votes for.
I know.
And they get billions of our hard-earned dollars, and they justify that somehow. How do you justify that?
Well,
That's one thing McCain said when he ran against Obama, that who knows, he was a huge disappointment, again, because he made concessions, personal concessions. But that being said, he said, I am tired, and we're going to stop giving money to people who don't like us and who don't support us. I mean, some people have this antagonism against Israel. What would we have been since 1948? They have been the democratic shining light of America.
That's right.
No one knows how important that's been. And they have asked less of us than those Arab nations. Every time I hear somebody gripe about how much money we annually give to the Jews, they say, over there, I say, how much do we give to the Syrians? How much do we give to Iran and Iraq and all of those things?
Yeah, my sympathy is with the Jewish
Absolutely.
people.
But they're different than the American Jews. Again, I don't understand the American Jew today that supports this president and other Democrats who have sided with Palestine their whole term.
I don't get that.
Tell me. Again, we're not getting any calls.
No.
But I mean, I know I have common sense. I have a lot of experience. I'm right 90% of the time.
He admitted something. That's great.
Now, we haven't hit upon any of the 10% where I'm wrong today.
Oh, yeah. When it comes to women.
No, I know people will say, that guy's... I don't. I mean, contrarily. And what bothers me, Karen, is, again, I have to say it because it's the mothers. I mean...
Oh,
no, it is. But when they get mad at me,
yeah,
for what I say, and I won't name drop, but I had some famous women that we got into discussion, just like you and I, still great friends, But I said, let me explain something. Because my loyalty to the Kennedys was questioned. And actually, it cost me, my friendship there because of things I said and believed in. And
But it wasn't with Teddy.
No,
it was
wasn't
with his
Teddy.
wife.
That's correct. But I said, explain this to me. Who can be closer than a family? Now, you have children,
Yeah.
grown children. Do you always agree?
No.
No, of course not. Do you sometimes vehemently disagree?
Last Saturday night.
Okay. Now, does that mean you don't love each other?
No.
Does that mean that there's not a tremendous loyalty?
Of course.
And that's what hurt me the most, because Ted was sick at the time, and he would never go against not only his wife, but other
Of
women in
course
his
not.
life. No, but but in some ways a man has to sometimes. He has to take a side too.
Yeah.
But that's neither here nor there. But I'm just saying that sometimes, I keep talking about principles, not personalities. When I talk about, I have so many great friends in high office that I've known through my restaurants, through music. Socially, I love them. I'll disagree with them. Now, we're still friendly in in most cases. But in some cases, that person will badmouth me just for a position that I disagree.
That should not be.
Well, that person shouldn't be in politics.
Yeah. That should not be.
And one of them is from Plymouth.
Oh, really?
Yes.
Oh, tell me.
No.
Yeah, come on.
Well, I will tell, because it should. Therese Murray.
Oh.
She and I ran together. We got along fine. We were at the same polling places, and then I had her on the radio, the morning show, when I was on with Ed Lambert. And I asked, I'm always respectful, truly. I don't, because it's not about that. This is what I can't understand is, and she would never come on again. She thought
Well, would you ask her?
I forget.
Oh, dear God, the most important thing.
Well, no, but I mean,
might have gotten mad at you, too.
Oh, no, because it was a governmental question. It was a legitimate question about her position. I think it might have been a welfare, or it might have been something
Maybe
else.
she didn't like where it was leading.
You're a politician. If you can't handle a tough... I will say this. I can't stand...
Did she get up and leave?
Oh, no.
Okay.
But I'm just saying she would never... And then she wouldn't come to the restaurant, and she just disliked me.
Too
Well, it was
bad.
childish. And as I say, and I think you just said you'd agree with it, that if you're that thin-skinned and you're a politician...
But see, you had the radio.
Yeah.
And that, to her, I can't speak for her, but maybe that was frightening, so.
You can, she's been on all sorts of things. But anyway, and I don't, again, I liked her, but I mean, I was very disappointed. Not in what I did, but to hear some of the after effects, which, I mean, if you can't stand the heat, get out of the kitchen. And this is what I mean about people in politics. I mean, if you think everybody's supposed to go along with what you do, then we get the wrong person in there, because then you're not having any dialogue.
Right.
Don't you agree?
I agree with that.
And I mean it also made me suspect of her position.
And you cannot only listen to your own so-called people.
Yes.
You have to listen to the wide spectrum of everyone. You have to. You have to take all those opinions in and
well, that was
refashion yourself to understand their point of view.
Well, again, this is one of the things that I admired so much about Ted. I disagreed with him politically. He and I had some real
but a lot of people didn't understand him. He was a wonderful man.
Oh, terrific guy. Absolutely. The kindest man I think I've ever known. And I'll tell that to anybody. And I don't forgive the problems that occurred, but I also understand that they're but for the grace of God in a lot of situations. But that's not what we're talking about here. I'm just saying that he could be on the Senate floor and arguing very strongly against someone, or more than one. And boy, when that was over, they went and had drinks
Right,
somewhere.
that's what it
and
is.
he got along with people
Yeah.
because he worked with them. He made concessions. He made this.
Tip O'Neill was like
yeah,
that.
This Obamacare would never, had Ted been alive, Ted Kennedy been alive,
You think?
never would have been this mess because he would have had people working he would have spotted what Obama didn't, and that was that it wasn't about us against them.
Oh, his staff was the best.
Absolutely.
The worst thing Ted
Absolutely
Kennedy
the best.
did
Yeah.
was bring John Kerry
That's right.
into politics.
Don't tell me about
Don't
it.
get me started.
Yep. Don't get me started.
Right.
But there again, those were things that were the inconsistencies in him.
What?
Very interesting.
Ken, did you think we were going to go at each other here? She was really feisty.
I don't think she'll come back again.
I don't think she'll come back.
Well, maybe
again.
that was the idea, but
Maybe that was the idea. Now, you notice how subtle I was about us going for drinks later? I mean, about Ted? I said, well, Ted would argue with someone,
Yeah.
and then they'd go for drinks later.
Yeah. I'm having a big fat martini, let me tell
Yeah,
you.
in fact, that's right. I'm not going to forget
Like
again.
your radio show.
By the way, thank you to Karen. Boy, it's been great. I love that. But anyway, for those listening, if you'd like to recommend the show, it be seen by others who did not see it, we are on, hopefully, for a while, unless I get thrown off, every Thursday, or we may take a break here and there in the summer, and we'll have a rerun. But it's Comcast Channel 13, Verizon Fios Channel 43. And this program that you're watching right now will be rebroadcast this Monday at 11 p.m. if you're still up. But Tuesday, it's 9 in the morning. So that's a pretty good time. And then Wednesday's 1 o'clock. So after lunch, you can catch it at 1 p.m. And then, as I say, we're live on Thursdays at 6 p.m. And again, if you've enjoyed this, I will be on. We have a lot of Plymouth callers and a lot of Plymouth residents that listen to the Don McKeag Show on Saturday mornings from 11 till 1. It's 95.1 FM, WXTK, 95.1 FM. So I do hope that those of you that have been watching us tonight were entertained, and that's the key here. It's been my purpose ever since I've been on. And as corny as it sounds, once you hit the age group that I'm in, all the memories and all the experiences I've had, I try to share with others. And I'm concerned that if you look at the history of mankind, older people always were thought of highly because there was an inherent understanding by other generations that there was something to be said for having lived through wars, for having lived through bringing up families and deaths and children being sick and loss of jobs and loss of businesses, loss of health, and seeing the world turn upside down like I saw as a young kid when World War II was going on, then Korea. My father, I had a second cousin, my father's cousin was killed the day after the Korean War ended.
Oh,
Imagine how terrible that was. A sniper shot him, Buddy Horn from Quincy, and it was terribly sad to have survived the war and then to have gone.
Oh, God bless
And
him.
of course, there are so many stories of this, and I understand the youth and I understand the beauty, but to worship the youth over the wisdom of the older people, I believe, is another part of this disintegrating puzzle that had created once the greatest country in the world. So we are over. And good night and God bless Hope to see you next Thursday. I'm Don McKeag. This is Karen Buechs. Good night.
Good night.
Good night.
You did good.
You did
I
great.
didn't punch you out.